رمضان 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 يا حبيب رمضان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم تسليما كثيرا. All praise due to Allah, and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and his followers until the day of judgment. I bear witness that Allah is the only one worthy of worship, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his last and final messenger. Welcome to a new episode of your program, Ramadan, the month of change. You know, there is two types of changes can happen to any human being. A change that has to do with our behavior, and a change has to do with the way we think. And both are important. The changes that happen to behavior and the way we conduct ourselves, but also the changes that happen in our ideologies, in the way we see things, and the way we perceive things is also very important. As a matter of fact, the second one is the base for the next one, because if you have the wrong perception, if you have the wrong idea, if you have the wrong way of thinking, most likely you're going to end up do the wrong thing as well. Give you an example. If someone use drugs, that's a wrong behavior. But if somebody say drugs is okay, drugs is good, something good. You know, it is just, it's fun. That's worst, even if he doesn't use drugs. That's why in Islam, if somebody says khamr is halal, it's not a Muslim, it's kafir. Even if he doesn't drink khamr. If somebody drinks khamr all the time, but he knows, and in his mind, he knows that's haram, he's still a Muslim. And he's still a Muslim who is a sinner. And that's why when we talk about change, we need to also care so much about how we see things, how we perceive things. And unfortunately, there's a lot of things need to be changed in the way we think and analyze and strategize ourselves, the way we perceive things. And one of the things that I would like to talk to you about today is our ability to be balanced in the way we judge things and we view things. Many times we go to one of the extremes when we analyze things or we view things. We became very more emotional instead of being using logic. We go to what I call to the narrow alley. And this can happen by sometimes, as I said, you basically go either to the two extreme. It's either 100 or 0. And that's why I call it narrow, even though it is the widest things. But it's narrow because it narrows you between two choices, either black or white, either 100 or 0. You know, when someone read a book, or read about a scholar, or have a teacher, or he loves a speaker, or he likes a group, a dawah group, political group, whatever it is, he'll read about it and know about it, and he loves it 100%. So he will say this is the perfect book. He will not ever allow or accept any criticism to that book or that writer. He will take that sheikh like infallible. You can't even touch him. You know, he will think of this jama'ah or this group or these ideas, and these ideologies are the ultimate truth, the ultimate haqq. Or on the other hand, people see that person is the ultimate evil, is the worst ever. No good in him, no good on them. He see that country, that society, or that group is just pure bad. I mean, that's not correct. When you see someone use the praising phrases, you know, unlimited amount of praising phrases to someone or to something. And on the other hand, someone will only say all the bad and negative things they can think of. We need to build a balance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا. Don't let your hate and enmity of someone to make you not fair. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about khamr, the khamr, and al-maysir, the gambling. He said, فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. There is very bad, and a lot of evil things in them, but there is some benefit on them. But the bad is way more than the good. وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. When the Nabi ﷺ sent the Muslims to Abyssinia, he said to that king who is not a Muslim, who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who have no tawheed, but still, he said, he's a fair, just king. لا يظلم عنده أحد. He will not tolerate injustice. Why don't we have the same balance when we talk about people? When we look at groups, when we look at countries, when we deal with individuals? Why don't we just balance our emotions? Why don't we, as Allah wants us to be, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله. O who you believe stands for the truth. Al-qist, it means justice, balance. It means that we stand as witnesses before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear brothers and sisters, let's make our heart attached to the haqq, not to individuals, not to people, not to the dunya. Let's make sure that we don't be too emotional. Let's balance our emotion with our aql, with our intellect, so we don't go to the extreme. I have seen in my life those who are extreme in loving someone, at one time they became extreme in hating the same person. That's why there is a hadith reported that Ali radiallahu anhu, it's in Tirmidhi, and there is debate over if it's a statement of the Prophet ﷺ or Ali ibn Abi Talib, and it seems to be, it's not an authentic hadith as a statement from the Prophet ﷺ, but the meaning is so beautiful. أحبب حبيبك هونا ما عسى أن يكون بغيضك يوما ما. When you love someone, don't love them too much, because you don't know what happened. Maybe things turn around, and if it turn out, you're gonna hate him too much too. And if you hate someone, don't hate that person too much, or dislike someone, don't dislike him too much. Maybe turn out to some way they became close to you. And also, one of the things that, in another, in contrast to this, that narrow alley that I talk about, that we put ourselves and others in it, it's basically when you take away from yourself or others the ability to choose. And I mean by that, when you only put people in a very limited choices. Al-Islam is so beautiful that give us many options. Any successful da'i, the one who give people options. But if you don't give people options, it's either this or you are doomed. You know, it's like thinking of Islam as just, you know, a rigid religion. Religion is flexible. Those have this rigid views and way of dealing with the religion are not representing the message of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is people, basically, it's like the Khawarij, when they used to say, what do you believe in Ali ibn Abi Talib? What do you believe in Uthman? If you believe that is a good rule, you are bad. You know, they just put in a very narrow choices. And they judge you completely based on one incident or one thing. That's a problem in the way we think. Anyway, let's have a quick break and come back to continue our discussion, inshallah ta'ala. I'll see you after the break, so stay tuned.
Ramadan, 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 ya Habib, Ramadan, 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 ya Habib, Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our program, Ramadan, the month of change. One of the changes that I'm hoping to achieve is changing the way we think when it comes to dealing with issues, that we have a broad look to things. We will always, basically in the business of offering multiple choices, solutions, not to be rigid, not to be narrow, close-minded. I remember once I was in Houston, Texas, in one of the masajid, and I told someone that, I saw someone from overseas. I haven't seen him for years, since I was like in high school. I used to teach in his masjid. So he gave me a hug, Waleed. I haven't seen you since, high school. Wow, you look different, blah, blah, blah. So, and he is from Jama'at al-Tabligh. He was going for khuruj in Houston. I told him, what's your plan? Come have dinner in my house? Or he said, we going? I said, unfortunately, tomorrow I'm leaving to Chicago. And he said, are you? I'm going to Chicago too. So you going khuruj with us in Chicago? I said, no, I'm not. I never was. I never was, me since high school. I never was to Tablighi group, or, I don't do that. Basically, I'm going there to teach a course where I teach with Al-Maghrib Institute. And I explained to him what I do. Then he said, oh, this doesn't count. I said, what do you mean it doesn't count? He said, you have to go with our jama'ah, or it doesn't count. That's not da'wah. And he said, he's older gentleman, but I had this conversation, I was like shocked. Literally, maybe not everybody will verbalize this way, but some people think that if you don't go through my way, it doesn't count. If you don't work through my group, through my organization, if you don't carry my name, my title, if you don't accept my sheikh as your way, it doesn't count. And the only one we have to go through is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nothing else. The only name that we have to stick to it is Al-Islam. Not any one of these names that people basically claim that they belong to. The only names and titles that I'm entitled for, and I have to use it, is the title that came in the Quran and Sunnah. I don't need to call myself any one of these names. I still can be a good Muslim while I'm working in these multiple choices in front of me. I'm not saying they are bad, but don't, everybody has good in them, alhamdulillah, and I would love to see the Muslim work together. But that narrow way of thinking is not correct. Narrow way of thinking is very, very problematic. Can I give you another example, maybe far away from the field of da'wah and politics? Even in marriage, like somebody tell me she looking for someone who's handsome, or he looking for a girl who's just beautiful. He just stuck with so narrow, that's the only thing. Or religious only. Give you a better example. Like somebody said, I want a religious girl. I said, yeah, but that's it. He said, yeah, that's it. The Prophet ﷺ said, marry the religious one. Yeah, but he said, that's the best quality you look for, but it's not the only quality you look for. What if you marry a religious person, but that person cannot provide for you? What if you marry a religious person, but that person have culture that's completely different than yours? What if that person have parents who will make your life miserable? What if that religious person, have basically disease? So you have to, not to narrow your way of thinking. You have to always give yourself options. You look at multiple things in the same time. The more you can do that, the more successful in marriage you are. Another issue that I want to say quickly before we end our session today, that it's also a problem of the way we think when it comes to deal with issues and challenges in life. That we, in a very strange way as human beings, many of us try to free themselves from responsibility. There is a say, it's been said it's a Chinese saying, but I'm not sure if it is or not, but this is a say I heard a long time ago, that they said we're living in a time where we're dealing with problems made by our forefathers or grandfathers, the generation before us, and it will be solved by the generation after us. In another word, we are out of we are the question. We have no responsibility. It's made by someone else, and it will be solved by someone else. That kind of life is problematic. So many times we don't take responsibilities over issues. We think it will be solved by themselves. No, they're not. We keep complaining about same thing again and again and again and again, but we don't take any serious step to fix the problem. The marriage problem, the children problem, the community problem, the country's problem, the Islam and Muslims problem. We don't do anything. We just complain about it. Talking about it is not going to change anything. But doing something about it, that's what it is. Sometimes we free ourselves from responsibility by claiming that someone else has to do it. You know, this is the sheikh work. This is the activist people work. This is the parents' work. This is the youth problem. This is the elder problem. This is, you know, the rulers' problems. They are the one who should take care of it. Yeah, it doesn't work this way. We all partner in the society. We have always to think that we have to work together. You know, in Sadaqah, I remember telling in one of the episodes, when it comes to donation, it's not only the rich people's problem to donate to the poor, it's all of us come, middle class and poor people. And Nabi asked Bilal to donate, ask everyone in Zakat al-Fitr. Every Muslim has to do, even if that person deserves zakah and he have enough food, he gives zakah to the extent that they give to each other. So to basically take the responsibility and put it in the shoulder of certain group of people, that's not work. A lot of people say, oh, the problem with Islam and Muslims and the countries and the society, it is because the rulers are corrupt. The rulers are bad. No, they're not the only one responsible. They carry responsibility, but the whole society is responsible as well. كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. All of you are responsible, the Prophet ﷺ said. Fir'aun was not the only bad person. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوهُ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. That Fir'aun basically have led his people, have misled his people, and they were corrupt. Because they were corrupt, they were followers of Fir'aun. That's why him, his soldiers, and his people were destroyed. وَكَذَلِكَ نُوَلِّي بَعْضَ الظَّالِمِينَ بَعْضًا بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. The transgressor rule transgressors as well. That's why people say, oh, you know, if Abu Bakr comes today, if Salahuddin comes today, you think people will follow? No, because I'm not saying it's the problem in the people only. No, I'm saying it's a shared responsibility. And what's worse than that, when people say, you know, the problem and the responsibility for the Muslim Ummah in this situation, it is because our enemy made us this way. Excuse me, your enemy is your enemy. What are you expecting from your enemy? We can't just say, you know, it's the fault in our enemy. You know, some people say, oh, the weakness of the ummah, it is the sunnah, and that's the qadr of Allah. Yes, but the qadr of Allah, we've been ordered to counter the qadr with a new qadr. We have the audacity to stand and to change our situation. Allah will not change us until we change ourselves. Don't justify mistakes. Take the responsibility of the mistakes and take the responsibility of fixing them. Don't exaggerate by saying they are too little or too big to be fixed. Stand up tall and take the responsibility, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, will bless our effort. What I'm saying here, we're living in crucial time. We have to stand up strong and take the responsibility of representing our deen, holding to our sunnah, to the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, standing our ground firm. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all success. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. I'm looking forward to see you inshallah in the next episode. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan.